So I have this day job and it takes up like 60 hours of my week. And I also live with a remote worker. So when I want to publish content, it's a thing. Okay, it is a scheduled, very time limited thing. It's November here in Buffalo. So I woke up to gloom. And then I spent half of my morning searching for a misplaced microphone that I bought just a month ago after someone told me that my sound quality sucked. And yeah, I freaked out. And then I thought to myself, today's the day, and you've got the time, and you've got a message. So I threw on some sweats in the name of my mood, and the show's gonna go on. Here's what's funny. Ironically, the piece that I have is about technology. So let's talk for a minute about that Jekyll and Hyde that live in our relationship with technology. Think about it. How often does your opinion change about something that is ultimately supposed to be a convenience? A few days ago, I wrote down some mindful moments. This is just over a couple of hours, but I want you to pay attention to how many different emotions come and go. I'm annoyed that my phone is telling me to wake up, but I'm grateful that my first sound of the day is one that I chose. I'm anxious as I turn on the news, ashamed that it's automatic, sad as I watch, relieved it's not me, guilty for feeling that way. I chose to text because it's easier. Then I overthought its response. A random tiny heart is a reminder that he loves me. A meme made it easier to laugh. I love knowing that I can check in on my kids whenever I want, but I hate knowing that I annoy them. I'd rather crush candy than read a book. I need to learn that responses can wait and respect others that have mastered that while I wait for them. I click publish with hope to help strangers. Now, I don't think we need to force ourselves on one side of the fence or the other, but when we make decisions to either turn on or turn off, we need to be very mindful as to why and what intent that we have when doing so. It's that thought that is the inspiration behind this piece that I call Back in the Day. Bald eagles and wheat pennies are proof that with rarity comes appreciation. Some say that verbal communication can join that club. Why is it that conversation feels like a dying art while our voices haven't gone anywhere? Severed words and animated emotions are here to stay. They were birthed by devices that have been keeping heads down at the dinner table for years. Back in the day, bonds were formed with utensil-filled hands and sharing sessions. Expressions were read as they often changed moods. This togetherness I'm referring to can be described in many ways: beautiful, limited, missed, forced. We can't fault our children for what they have never known or resented. Were you always the best company? How often did less important things disappoint a better moment that was waiting to come to life? I know I would turn back time if I could. In a heartbeat. I also know that for 12 long years, my husband and I worked opposite shifts. Therefore, for 12 long years, a group text was our virtual dinner table. If you ask me, technology has turned spontaneity and frequency into treasures. Think about it. Back in the day, we had no idea that we were being thought of because thoughts in their prime were lost in the inability to immediately deliver. Before texting, The worried mother lost needed sleep. A morning spat lasted longer than it needed to. And depression had less attackers. Don't judge the electronically dependent world without prioritizing your own personal values, boundaries, and needs. While I appreciate all differences, I pray there is one thing that we can all agree on. There is no message, no thought, no scroll, no post, selfie, email response, stock trade, eBay bid, or lineup change that will ever be more important than a life. Don't ever text and drive. Just don't do it. But if you're not behind the wheel and need to compose some hurtful words, go ahead. Go ahead, then delete them before sending, and know in your heart that that's just not you. If you need a filter to feel like you look good, then use one. But know in your heart you don't need it. And remember, a beautiful world surrounds you in the form of voices, paper, and nature. Take advantage of it. And if you love someone, be proactive. Relationships are treasures that need to be protected and preserved. And it takes work. If you feel ignored, pull out the earbuds and give a whisper. If you feel angry, be the bigger person. Send that heart emoji. If you battle mental illness, it's likely that your relationships have been tested. Perhaps by distance that you've created. Perhaps by a mood swing or two. It's okay. It's okay. Be aware, take a breath, and wait to feel better. Then be proactive. Ask yourself this question: is your happiness tied to being right, or is your happiness tied to winning? You can choose to be the one who's always right for the rest of your life. But I've watched the stubborn soul destroy others and itself. Choose to win. Choose to win the game of life where the finish line holds eternal peace. And be remembered as the one who says good morning, good night, I love you, I'm sorry. Put your phone down. Yes, technology has advanced us tremendously. It's the reason behind many great things. It's the reason I'm able to talk to you. Technology is not an enemy when you appreciate the things, the treasures that it will never replace. In closing, I'd like to share with you a true story. A true story that starts as a joke, but I've replaced the punchline with a moral. Guy walks into a bar. He finds his place at the stool he unofficially owns, while the barmaid pours a drink without needing to ask what he would like. There were 2 stools that separated the harmless regular from my husband and I, who were there for a bite and some refreshments of our own. We were quickly entertained by the banter that took place between the 2 friends. The man started with what I'll call a seasoned member of society's theory behind what's wrong with the world today. On the other side of the pine, an equally passionate individual defending the world, for there is so much more for her to see and do in it. She tried to explain that the evil internet is the reason she's able to pursue a degree and keep in touch with loved ones while working the long hours needed to get by. He countered with memories of conversations without screens and the set of encyclopedias that he's still proud to own and still proud to use. Both had valid points that were made without disrespect. He preached, she poured. Both smiled. It was hard not to eavesdrop. At first I tried really hard not to, but then it happened. The stubborn but friendly patron referenced the lack of appreciation. My ears perked and my eyes widened. I couldn't have agreed more. He ended the session with one last sip and these final words. My dear, you can't smell Google. His glass was retrieved with the promise to see him again soon. I was pretty sure that his visit and opportunity to lecture was the highlight of his day. I was pretty sure that the distraction from the grind was the highlight of hers. I was certain that witnessing their relationship was the highlight of mine. That night, I approached a vase of flowers that sat on my kitchen counter. They were given to me by my children. I placed my nose to a petal, closed my eyes, and slowly inhaled. You are right, friendly stranger. You can't smell Google. Thanks for listening. Many of you are friends that are here with me that I'm able to share with because of technology. And I want you all to know that you are a treasure.